Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. I'm Chris with M7 Metalworks. I've got the bush hog we're going to start working on today. I've already done a little bit of work off camera. I've done a little bit of wire wheeling and that kind of thing. And I don't know how much of that stuff I'm going to record for you guys, just simply because it's boring as all get out. And you know, nobody really wants to look at a lot of that kind of stuff. So, but I'll show a little bit of it just to show the process. I've got the this is a safety guard on that bush hog, and it's got a few stress cracks, and I'll try to bring you in for that. But I think what I'm going to do is we're going to weld these up here in a little bit. And then before I do that though, I'll show you some of the progress that I've had off camera with the bush hog. It's not done by any means as far as wire wheeling and cleaning it up, but I've gotten a little bit of work done on it. Guys, I think I'll put just a little bit of a weld on this outside, and then I'll grind on that. I've got a great weld on the inside, gives it plenty of strength, more so than it had originally. But I don't want the cracks to show. You can see them even though it's reinforced on the back. On the inside it's reinforced. It's still has the visible cracks. So I'll just run a quick bead on that, and then I'll grind on that, clean it up. Well guys, I've wire wheeled it to at least the best that I'm going to do on it. It'd be great if you do have to do some welding on yours, that you can get this before you get a bunch of rain and water on it. Though I'm getting ready to power wash it, so maybe it wouldn't matter, but you will get a little bit of surface rust on those welds, obviously. So you can see here, I've actually shot it a little bit with some purple power. I'm going to use this here, and I think it's pretty good degreaser. As you can see, for the most part, it's pretty cleaned up. Even the underside of it, I did a decent job of cleaning it up. I didn't get crazy. This is just where I've been spraying, just to test some of this stuff out. And when you hit it with this stuff, the dirt just kind of starts running, you know. But I'm going to hit the whole thing. And then a couple things I wanted to point out. Like this, let me put like this right here. That's not something that I knew about before wire wheeling it. And then I've got the same thing right down there. See a small little pinhole. So I'm going to end up taking the MIG to these, but I'm going to clean it up first. And the reason I'm not going to MIG it right now is just simply because the MIG is further away than this is, and I can't get the MIG out on this gravel. I could stick weld it, but I think I'd rather have the ability to MIG it, just because this is pretty thin and my MIG does much better with the thin stuff. I've got my work cut out for me in some areas that have some pretty good grime and grit in them along this area. So I'm going to hit those real good with the purple power again, and then I'll power wash this whole thing. So you'll be able to see it. I'll put you guys in time lapse. power washing it with that purple power really made a big difference. I mean, it took off so much crud. I've still got some stuff to get rid of. I can see that I'm still a bit dirty in some spots, but a lot of the metal that was basically brown is now, some of it's just really clean silver now. And interestingly enough, don't know how well this will show up on camera, but I can see the 9, the 6, and the 0 there. So 960 Oliver is what this bush hog is. So I think what I'll do now, I was able to get some of that in there really good as well. I think what I'll do now is I'll shoot it one more time with some purple power and give it one more wash. And that way we'll hopefully get rid of all the oil and grease on this thing. But it is looking pretty darn good and should take my water-based primer. It's an aviation primer. It's excellent anti-corrosion and that kind of thing, so it should be really good. I'll spare you guys the second power washing though, so the next time you'll see it, it'll be done with the power washing. Well guys, I think it's time to go ahead and look at priming this thing. It rained last night, but it was very little rain, so I blew the thing off just to get some of the water that had collected down in there and some of the cracks and crevices. This is a water-based paint that I'm getting ready to use, so at this point it's been a few hours since I blew it off. If there were any extra water in there, it wouldn't hurt anything. All these have been power washed and cleaned. I didn't wipe everything down. The only thing I wiped down really was this here. You know, this was I'd taken this in, and if you remember, I welded the insides of this, and then just kind of took the sander to it and just cleaned it up a little bit. So a bunch of primer. That is a lot of primer, guys. That's way more than I probably need. It may be double what I need, but I have quite a bit of this stuff. I use this PPG Aerospace primer, and I used it on the Oliver tractor and it really did a good job. I get this stuff really cheap on eBay. You can too. It's expired. Date of manufacture 12/18, expires 9/19, and it's 2022 right now, so this is 3 years past its expiration date. Now, that may matter to an aerospace guy, but in the tractor world, that doesn't matter a bit. So mixes and everything real well. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to put you guys on time lapse, and that way this goes a little bit quicker. I got a pretty good breeze today, so I don't know how that's going to affect my primer as I put it on. I really don't want it blowing inside the shop or even blowing on the shop if I can prevent it. So I'll probably turn up the pressure on that gun, and that way I make sure I get it on the bush hog. So let's get started. Well guys, we got the primer done. Pretty pleased with it. I got a couple coats on the top. Get you in here a little bit closer. Apologize for the light. The sun's kind of right at us. You'll see this side just a little bit better. I got a little bit of run down there, but this is really one of those, I got a lot of runs, but this is kind of one of those jobs. It's wonderful because you don't have to really worry about runs because no one cares. And if you haven't ever used water-based primers, the neat thing about them is you can get some runs like, let me see if I can show you here, like right in here, and that looks bad right now, but once that water dries, it'll be amazing how much those runs disappear. And then I've got these parts with just a light coat of primer. I didn't get crazy on them, but I wanted to get some primer on them. And they're done on both sides, of course. So next is paint. This is what I've got paint-wise. I've got this Van Sickle paint. I think I got it at Rural King. It's really reasonable. It's just an industrial enamel paint. Good for implements and even tractors. It's what I also used on the tractor. Agco is the Clover Meadow color for the wheels on that tractor. But anyways, pretty good quality. I've got it mixed up here in a coffee can. Show you that there. So I've just mixed it. I use an 8 parts paint, 1 part hardener, and then 1 part thinner. And I think you can use acetone as a thinner on this stuff as well, but I didn't want to use that for fear that it would just dry too quickly. And acetone, you know, evaporates really, really quick. Well guys, we've got the bush hog painted now, got the wheel, everything was brushed on, just the touch-up stuff was brushed on. I didn't want to break out the sprayer obviously for that kind of stuff. So now that we've got the bush hog painted and I've got some new hardware, I got a bunch of grade 8 bolts and nuts and some washers and what have you. So hopefully we got everything we need. Let's start putting this thing back together. Same thing here, just a washer, cotter pin. That's a long one, I know. I'll cut it short, but it's got a nice thick shaft on it, so that's why I'm using it. So I'll go ahead and bend that up, clip those cotter pins, and the tail wheel will be back on it. Yeah. Up there. Do that.
The things that matter to you are the things that matter to us.
Okay. Yeah, hold on to it. Attaboy.
Keeping our products tried and true, and delivering on a reputation that we spent 100 years building. We're Pizza Brothers Engineer, a trusted name in the Wabash Valley, celebrating 100 years of business,
Doing good.
100 years of service, and 100 years of investing in our country. Pizza Brothers.
October 23rd through Friday, October 28th. Self-directed retreat to assist you in touching the deep wellness of within. Talking about that host in ways that rival our really world. Participants will draw on scripture, poetry, and other spiritual writings. Personal reflection and prayer will be included. Cost is $495 for inclusive housing and $300 without housing. Space is limited, so register by October 16th.
From Dorset Automotive Studios, it's the Valley's greatest hits. 1027 WBOW.
Okay, buddy.
$40. Huge truckload meat sale is back by demand. The whole season.
Need to replace our locking mechanism for the PTO shaft. So this is the part that goes onto the tractor, and you know, the one when I got this tractor, it didn't even have anything in here. They had like a piece of wire or something in there that they'd used to hold it. So purchased this on Amazon. Believe it or not, I couldn't find this at Tractor Supply, Rural King, or Complete Outdoor in our local area. So I had to actually order it online. And basically, if you do have to do something like that, you want to just take some measurements. Obviously, this part sticks out through the back. And so, you know, if you take some measurements and make sure you know how big your opening is here. And you know, you may have to do like I had to do, and you may have to take a little round file and just kind of clean that out a little bit from some burrs and rust or whatever's in there. I'm going to use just a little bit of grease, and that'll just kind of help that thing move along a little bit better. Okay, real simple to put in, guys. So large hole, small shaft, large shaft. Pretty simple. Oh, sorry, forgot my spring. That's important. If you don't have that spring in there, it won't want to push back on you. So definitely want that spring. And then you can see here when I push in it now, it pops through. And then this is just the, you could use a lot of different things for this. This is just what come with this. It just goes on there like that. Give her a little tap to get it seated on there. And then what I do as well is I will take the end here and I'm just going to crimp it just a little. I didn't go crazy there, but I just crimped that a little bit just to get that a little tighter so that it's not so easy to just knock off. Alright guys, well we got the bush hog hooked up to the tractor. It looks fantastic. We look at the PTO shaft there with that new locking pad. It's turning slightly because it's not really engaged. You can stop it. So here we are. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bush hog this area here. It has not been bush hogged at all this year, as you can clearly see. So I'll go through here and run a few passes, and then we'll take a look and see how well it's done. I apologize for the wind. It's very windy today. Good. Really pleased with that. Those blades are old. I just used the old blades on it, and yeah, that's going to work out really, really nice. Super pleased with that. That ends this episode on the Oliver Bush Hog, a 960. I will probably get some numbers and put some numbers